Wish you all a very, very happy Radha Ashtami and Vishakha Ashtami ki jai.
Hare Krishna Kirtida Sundari Mataji, Dandavad Pranams, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining the call. Welcome to the call, Mataji. Wish you a very happy Radhashtami and Vishakashtami, Mataji. I need to know about that, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Welcome to the call, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Nandapriya Narmada Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances and my humble obeisances to all the assembled devotees. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to Srila Guru Maharaj. This is Susmita from Canada. Happy Radhashtami Mataji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Susmita Mataji, Dandavad Pranams, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining the call. Welcome to the call, Mataji. Wish you a very happy Radhashtami, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Welcome to Bhakti Sanga conference call. Today we are very fortunate to have His Grace Mahabhagavat Prabhu with us, Mahabhagavat Prabhu with us to enlighten us on the topic of very special topic, the highest service to Srimati Radharani. And before handing over the call to Prabhuji, I would like to ask Param Pavani Shyama Mataji to give a brief introduction about Prabhuji. Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavad Pranams, please accept humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Thank you very much, Mataji, for joining the call. Please go ahead, Mataji, take over the call.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Today's speaker is His Grace Mahabhagavat Prabhuji. So Prabhuji was drawn to there is a very brief introduction for Prabhuji. So Prabhuji was drawn to atheism in his youth, but later he embraced spirituality through Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita. Prabhuji holds a PhD in machine learning and speaks multiple languages. He is currently working as a CTO. Hare Krishna. We are very fortunate to have Prabhuji for today's.
Hare Krishna, Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubhyo, Patitanam Bhavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Before it be recorded, let me say that I do not actually hold a PhD. I dropped out because I wanted to focus on Bhakti more. But the other things are generally true. We'll do a quick Kirtan, short one, because it is Radhashtami. Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana 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 Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Jai Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Srila Gurudeva Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय आप सब वैष्णववृंद की जय वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. Thank you very much for this opportunity to speak on this very auspicious day. Thank you for the service. Thank you for all the devotees who are behind this Bhakti Sanga Japa conference call. I think it's a wonderful initiative that spans the whole world and encourages those who are not close to a temple. So I'm very grateful to you for creating this online temple. Thank you very much. Today we'll be reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam. We'll be starting with verse from the 10th canto, the 21st chapter, verse number 14. And then we'll go look at a few other verses as well during the class. But before that, I wanted to express my gratitude to Srimati Radharani and to all of the spiritual masters who are representatives of Srimati Radharani. And it's a complete fact that I'm not qualified and not prepared actually also to speak about the glories of Srimati Radharani because I'm a relative beginner in Bhakti and I don't know much. But whatever I have heard so far, I will present before you. Okay, so we'll start with that verse 10:21:14. So if a devotee can please share that so that everybody can read along as we go. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Srimad Bhagavatam 10:21:14 is the verse that we are starting with today. Prayo Bhatamba Vihaga Munayo Vanesmin Krishne Kshitam Taduditam Kalavenu Geetam Aruhyate Druma Bhujan Ruchira Pravalan Shrinmanti Milita Drisho Vikatanya Vachaha. So look at the synonyms carefully here. Praya, almost. Yes, thank you. Pata, certainly. Amba, O mother. Vihaga, the birds. Munaya, great sages. Vane, in the forest. Asmin, this. Krishna Ikshitam, in order to see Krishna. Tat Uditam, created by him. Kalavenu Geetam, sweet vibrations made by playing the flute. Aruhya, rising. Yehu, Drumabhujan, the branches of the trees. Ruchira Pravalan, having beautiful creepers and twigs. Shrinvanti, they hear. Milita Drishaha, closing their eyes. Vigata Anya Vachaha, stopping all other sounds. I picked this verse for a particular reason and we'll get into that. But we'll read the translation, the purport, and then I will just give a quick context of this verse and then we'll continue. Translation by the disciples of Srila Prabhupada. O mother, in this forest, all the birds have risen onto the beautiful branches of the trees to see Krishna. With closed eyes, they are simply listening in silence to the sweet vibrations of his flute. And they are not attracted by any other sound. Surely, these birds are on the same level as great sages. The purport, also by the disciples of Srila Prabhupada. The birds resemble sages because they live in the forest, keep their eyes closed, observe silence, and remain motionless. Significantly, it is stated here that even great sages become maddened by the sound of Krishna's flute, which is a complete spiritual vibration. The word Ruchira Pravalan indicates that even the branches of the tree are transformed in ecstasy when struck by the vibration of Krishna's flute song. Indra, Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu, being primordial gods, travel throughout the universe and have extensive knowledge of the science of music. And yet, even these great personalities have never heard or composed music like that which emanates from Krishna's flute. Indeed, the birds are so moved by the blissful sound that in their ecstasy, they close their eyes and cling to the branches to avoid falling off the trees. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that the gopis would sometimes address each other as Amba, mother. Om Adhyanatimiraandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My spiritual master opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances at the lotus feet of my spiritual master. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutabadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishubhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripu Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyocha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Radhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakti Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So it's been a very ecstatic day for me at this side, and I'm sure all of you will have a very ecstatic day wherever in the world you are. I'm currently in Hyderabad, India, so I attended the morning program there, heard a beautiful class by the Gauranga Darshan Prabhu, and then came home, and we had some deity worship at home, and shipped some books. It's been a very, very enlivening day, I must say. So, and this is really another amazing experience that I'm having to be able to speak about Sri Radha Krishna in front of you. Again, repeating that I'm unqualified and unprepared to speak on this subject matter. So, but still, I have picked something with prayer to the spiritual masters and to Srila Prabhupada and to all the Vaishnavas. I picked this topic of the highest service to Srimati Radharani. We'll try to explore that a little bit. Okay, so when you talk about the highest service, we have to understand, okay, we are talking about service. So what does that mean? Like, what is service and what is disservice? Now, the answer to that question is, it depends. It's a trick question because depending on the nature of that person and the desire of that person, what is disservice and what is service may be different. For example, If someone takes a knife and starts cutting out a part of someone's body, ordinarily that would be a disservice to that person. Right? They need that part of the body. But if that part of the body is somehow diseased with a serious disease like cancer, for example, and that part of the body needs to be removed, and the knife that is in the hands of a surgeon, then that is a service. So the need of that person is different. They need that part of the body removed in order to be able to continue the rest of their life. So this is one of the examples, but we can expand it. You can think about any kind of person. Like, for example, if you feed a sick person very rich food, then that is a disservice to that person because they're going to fall sick. Whereas if you feel a healthy, hungry person, a nice feast, such as what will be served in the various places at Radhashtami afternoon, then that is a great service to them, right? So in order to understand what is service to Srimati Radharani, it is necessary for us to understand a little bit about her nature. Actually, Srimati Radharani is so esoteric, so mysterious, so amazing, and so deep that it's not possible for someone like me to really understand this tattva. But we can, through what Srila Prabhupada has given us, explore this a little bit. So we know that the Vedic scripture says, Parasya Shaktir Vividhaiva Shruyate Swabhaviki Jnana Bala Kriyacha. So Krishna is described as having multifarious energies. Krishna has unlimited energies. All of Krishna's energies are impossible to enumerate. But there are three main categories of Krishna's energies, right? You have the Krishna's external energy called the Bahiranga Shakti, which is known commonly to us as material energy. And then we have Krishna's internal energy, which is Krishna's Antaranga Shakti, which is internal to Sri Krishna. And then you have the third energy, which is neither internal nor external. They're like sitting on the fence in the middle. That is called Tatastha Shakti. So I won't get into a detailed description of all the other Shaktis here, the Bahiranga and the Tatastha, etc. But since we are discussing Srimati Radharani here, and it's important for us to understand what the nature of Srimati Radharani is, in order to understand what service is to her, and then we can think about what is higher, what is highest, and what is the best kind of service that we can render to Srimati Radharani. So when you look inside the Antaranga Shakti, those are again divided into three categories, right? They are divided into Sandhini, Samvit, and Ladini. There are three Shaktis. And Srila Prabhupada has given us the understanding that the Sandhini Shakti corresponds to the Sat feature of the Supreme Absolute Truth. The Sat feature comes in three features: Sat, Chit, and Ananda. Right? Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavaneti Shabdete. Vadanti Tattvavidas, Tattvamyat Jnanamadvayam, Brahmeti, Paramatmeti, Bhagavaneti Shabdete. In each of those features, Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan, there is progressive increase of Sat, Chit, and Ananda. So in the first case, it is Sat, and then it is Sat and Chit, and then it is Sat, Chit, and Ananda in the Bhagavan feature. Okay? Okay. So yeah, the voice, I don't know. I'm doing my best here. I'm in India. I can't do much more. So in the Sat, Chit, and Ananda features, out of that, so we'll focus on the Ladini Shakti, or the Ananda feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So inside that Ananda feature, Ananda, the highest Ananda, is only possible in what is known as Prema, or pure love of God. Prema Pumartha Mahan. Prema, highest Ananda, is only possible in that feature. Within that Ananda, the support of that Prema is actually Bhava, or the deep, deep feeling of love and devotion for Krishna. So one can serve somebody without any feeling. One can serve out of fear. If somebody is serving God, like in the material modes of nature, you have three modes of nature. You have the material mode of ignorance, tamasic. You have the rajasic. You have the sattvic also. So people who serve God in the mode of tamasic or mode of ignorance, they're afraid of God. They're afraid of God. That's called God-fearing people. Most religious people in the world are God-fearing people because they're in the mode of ignorance, and they know that the things that they are doing are somewhat wrong or mostly wrong or all wrong, and therefore they are very much afraid of punishment from God. Okay, so that's a kind of service, but it's a kind of service not belonging to prema or ananda, right? And then you have the next kind of service, which is, they serve God, but they want something in return. They go with a list and say, I will give you this and 10 coconuts, and then can you give me this in return, right? So this is also there, but it is also a feature of most religious people in the world, and this is called religion in the mode of passion, right? So there is no prema or no ananda in that also. And then there is the third kind of service, which is in sattvic, which is a person serves God because God is meant to be served. They don't fear anything about God because they don't know that God, they know about God, and they don't want anything back from God because they know that He has already given them everything, and they're just doing their service out of duty. Again, there is no prema or ananda in that, right? So only when someone goes beyond the material mode of goodness into what we call as Shuddham Vishuddham Vasudeva Shabdidam, into the Shuddha Sattva, or the Sattva Guna that is beyond the three material modes of nature, then you can start understanding or experiencing what is known as Bhava and Prema and so on and so forth. So in this particular feature of Bhava, there are different gradations of Bhava. Everybody, even a beginner devotee can have some feeling for Krishna. They can have some kind of feeling. And a more advanced devotee will have a little bit more advanced feeling. And an even more advanced devotee will have an even more advanced feeling. Like, for example, Srila Prabhupada, he had some very deep feeling. Like, for example, if you have read the Giriraj Maharaja's book, I'll Build You a Temple, Srila Prabhupada had a personal conversation, made a personal commitment, and said, you stay here and I will build you a temple. Right? So that is Prabhupada's bhava. So which is very high, of a very high standard. Most of us cannot think of making that kind of a deal with Krishna because we may not be as surrendered as Srila Prabhupada is. So when that bhava goes on increasing and increasing and increasing and reaches the summit, which is a point of not being able to go any higher, or being able to go higher and higher and higher and higher infinitely, that is called what is known as Mahabhava. So only Srimati Radharani can experience that particular highest level of Mahabhava, and other devotees can experience it at lesser and lesser degrees. The eight Ashtasakhi gopis and the 100 plus 100 gopis, and then the 1008 gopis, and then and so on and so on. They can experience different levels of bhava, but and very close to Srimati Radharani, and completely out of reach for especially a sadhaka bhakta, like someone like myself, for example. But still, Srimati Radharani's bhava is something absolutely different. Srila Prabhupada has translated this, and Srila Rupa Goswami has delineated this very well in his Upadeshamrita. Right? In the Upadeshamrita, there are only how many verses? 10 plus 1, 11 verses. Okay. So out of those 11 verses, the first 8 verses are talking about progressive increase of bhakti. And Srila Rupa Goswami says, Iti Upadesha Saram. He said, my instruction is completed now in the 8 verses. Then what are the next 3 verses? The next 3 verses are actually a glorification of Srimati Radharani and her Kund, the Radha Kund. Okay. So in that particular one, in the 9th verse, and he's describing the different places. And the 10th verse is actually describing the different types of people. Right? He says, Karmibhyo parito hare priyataya vyaktim yayur jnaninas debhyo dhyana vimukta bhakti parama prema ekanishthastataha debhyasta pashupala pankaj drishastabhyopi saradhika prestha tadvadiyam tadiya sarasi tam nashet karti. So in the first part, he's saying karmibhyo. There are people who are the karmis. I described earlier that there are people who are in the mode of ignorance and the mode of passion. They're usually, referred to by Srila Prabhupada as karmis, the people who are trying to, make some system, use Krishna's system in order to get that. Karmibhya parito hare priyataya vyaktim yayudhyanas. So in Karmibhya, he's talking about all these other kinds of people who are on the level of three modes of material nature. And then you have yayudhyanas, the jnanis, the people who are in knowledge, are dear to Krishna, more dear to Krishna than those who are asking for things from him. But more than that, tebhyo jnana vimukta bhakti paramaha. So more than the people who are jnanis are dear persons who are pure devotees. Jnana vimukta, they have no desire for speculative knowledge. And bhakti paramaha, they are pure devotees. Premaika nisthastataha, the people who are in prema nisthastataha, even more than those pure devotees. Srila Rupa Goswami is saying, are dear tebhyasta pashupala pankaj drishas tabhyopisa. Tebhyasta pashupala pankaj drishas. So these are even more dear are the pashupala pankaj drishas. So they are basically the gopis, and some acharyas have also translated that as the gopas. But we are specifically talking about Radharani. We'll stick to Srila Prabhupada's translation here. Tebhyasta pashupala pankaj drishas. And then the gopis are dearer than that. And among all of the gopis, among the 3 billion gopis, the 1008 gopis, the 108 gopis, the 8 gopis, among all of the gopis, Radhika, Srimati Radharani, is dear to him. And so he concludes that particular verse with a Preshta Tadvadiyam, Tadiya Sarasitam Nashayat Kahakati. Please take shelter of her kund, because you will benefit greatly, as Krishna loves that very much. So what this means is that Radhika is dear because she is acting only for the pleasure of Krishna. She has nothing else, absolutely no goal, absolutely selfless. She has absolutely nothing. She dresses for Krishna's pleasure. She cooks for Krishna's pleasure. She speaks only for Krishna's pleasure. She acts only for Krishna's pleasure. And that she's willing to do completely devoid of any sense of personal gratification. If she gets angry with Krishna, it is because Krishna feels pleasure from Srimati Radharani's anger, not because she wanted anything for herself. Okay, so what that means, we need to just step back and understand. Krishna is purely spiritual, correct? Krishna is the origin. Krishna is the Paramatma. He's Narayana para avyaktat. Krishna is outside of the material creation. That means when Krishna enjoys, when Krishna feels pleasure, or if somebody wants to give Krishna pleasure, then they cannot be acting within the material modes of nature. In fact, that Srimati Radharani is the highest of that, what we refer to as spiritual. Now, when you look at spiritual, we have to understand, okay, what is this spiritual, quote unquote? Right? So Srila Prabhupada gives us a very easy thing. You take anything and you connect it to Krishna in a tangible way, and then that becomes spiritualized. So you can take a microphone, you can take this YouTube channel, you can take this Zoom, you can take this laptop that I'm speaking from, you can take this chair I'm sitting on. When it's used in the service of Krishna, it becomes spiritual in nature. So how to do that? How to connect everything to Krishna? Actually, it all starts with the process of hearing, right? So if you look at the verse from the 31st chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto, right? There's a very famous verse that the gopis are singing, and many devotees have learned this verse by heart. This series of verses are very, very sweet and very, very deep, and we can understand a lot from these verses. So there's a particular verse that goes, Tava kathamritam tapta jivanam kavibhiriditam kalmashapaham shravana mangalam Srimadaatatam vigunantiye puridajana. In that verse, in that particular verse, which Mother Indulekha Karuna Devi is showing, this is a very key verse that shows us that where it starts, where it all begins, where Krishna consciousness actually all begins. Tava katha amritam, the nectar of words. Tapta jivanam, life for those aggrieved in the material world. Kavibhi, a great thinker, Edism described Kalmasha Apaham, that which drives away sinful reactions. Shravana Mangalam, giving spiritual benefit when heard. Srimad, filled with spiritual power. Asatam, broadcast all over the world. Bhuvi, in the material world. Grinanti, chant and spread. Yea, those who. Bhurida, most beneficent. Jana, person. So when you look at the translation of this verse, when you go down a little bit and look at the translation of this verse, Srila Prabhupada, actually the disciples of Srila Prabhupada are translating these words. The nectar of your words and the descriptions of your activities are the life and soul of those suffering in this material world. These narrations, transmitted by learned sages, eradicate one's sinful reactions and bestow good fortune upon whoever hears them. These narrations are broadcast all over the world and are filled with spiritual power. Certainly, those who spread the message of Godhead are most munificent. And there's another verse, actually, I forget the verse number of that one. I think it is in Brahma's prayers in 10:14. Jnane prayasamudapasya namanta eva jivanti sanmukharitam bhavadiya vartam sthane sthita shruti gatang tanuvang manobhir ye prayasho jatachito pyasitaisi lokyam. I think that is in 10:14. I forget the exact verse number. I don't have it memorized. So if we look at these two verses, here's the verse. Thank you so much, Mother Indulekha Karuna. Jnane prayasam. So if you look at the translation of this, so what this verse is saying is those who, even while remaining situated in their established social positions, throw away the process of speculative knowledge, and with their body, words, and mind, offer all respects to the descriptions of your personality and activities, dedicating their lives to these narrations, which are vibrated by you personally and by your pure devotees, certainly conquer your lordship, although you are otherwise unconquerable by anyone within the three worlds. Okay. Now, when you look at these two previous verses, Tava Kathamritam Tapta Jivanam, and this one, Jnane Prayasa Udapasya Namanta Eva, both of these verses, we are trying to understand the nature of Srimati Radharani, right? So both of these verses and many other verses from the Srimad Bhagavatam and the Chaitanya Charitamrita apply completely and perfectly only to Srimati Radharani. That is what spiritual means. What it means is that she has thrown away the process of speculative knowledge. She doesn't care about these kinds of things. She has no desire for anything except to hear, chant about, and please Krishna with her every thought, word, and deed. So by corollary, if you say that Krishna consciousness or the spirituality or spiritual life comes from hearing about Krishna, then by corollary, or we can basically deduce that lack of Krishna-katha in our life is that which brings material conditioning into our lives, whenever it started since time immemorial, right? So material consciousness, I'm going to say this in a slightly different way. Material consciousness exists only in the absence of Krishna-katha. So when I am not in Krishna-katha, then when I go throughout the world, then I see everything in a material light. And when I am in Krishna-katha, then when I go throughout the world, then I see Sthavara Jangama Dekhe Na Dekhe Taramurti. I see everything in relation to Krishna and Krishna-katha. Okay, so that is an important thing. What is spiritual means that which is starting with Krishna-katha is spiritual. So everything in that line, like for example, everything that happens in our temples, everything that happens in the homes of devotees that begins with Krishna-katha is then spiritualized. Now we are still, so what we have done is we have looked a little bit, very, very, very tiny bit about the nature of Srimati Radharani. Now we are trying to figure out what is the highest service to her, right? So here, let us explore what is happening in the material world. We can see there are countless souls in the material world, infinite or practically infinite number of spirit souls. And they're all part and parcel of Krishna. Krishna claims them, Mamaivamsho Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, Manashasthani Indriyani Prakritisthani Karshati. Krishna claims all of these souls as his own. Mamay Ausha. Everybody is a part and parcel of Krishna. And then these souls, unfortunately, who are in the material world, are lost. They are conditioned into thinking that they are this and that, which they are not, right? And they are suffering as a result of that. And that includes some of us. For example, when, for most of the time I'm in the modes of material nature, and that time I'm suffering, right? That's only because I'm conditioned into thinking that I'm this body, or thinking that I'm the mind, or thinking that I'm a product of this material nature, thinking that I have something here in the material nature, right? So when Krishna sees this suffering, Srila Prabhupada writes in many of his purports, he says, Krishna's heart bleeds to see our suffering. Krishna is not some smug person who's sitting in his Golok Vrindavan or in the Vaikuntha planet and saying, ha ha ha, look at all of you enjoying and suffering the results of your karmic activities. Actually, Krishna feels tremendous sorrow to see ourselves, even though he's enjoying unlimitedly and he's Atmaram and he's fully satisfied, and actually he is never sad in a material way. He still feels pain for the suffering conditioned souls in the material world, and therefore he, in order to experience Upadrishta Anumanta Bharta Bhokta Maheshwara, Krishna himself expands himself and travels with every single soul in their different material journeys. When I'm a pig, Krishna is with me. When I'm a mosquito, Krishna is with me. When I'm a deer being killed by a tiger, Krishna is with me. When I'm a very low class man who's exploiting everybody around me, Krishna is with me. When I'm the person who is being exploited because this is my karmic reaction, then Krishna is still with me. So Krishna actually, practically speaking, observes every single activities of the spirit soul, and he does not like that we are suffering so much, right? So if you look at the example of a large crowd, and let's say there are some small children who are lost, and there's a particular lost and found children department in very large crowds. This happens, and then they say, so and so, please come to stall number so and so, because we have something, and then they match up the children with the parents, and then everybody is happy again, right? Like, parents are very grateful to the people who have found the children. Children are very happy that they can go back to their parents and not hanging around with strangers. Everybody is safe, everybody is happy, the organizer is happy, everybody is happy, right? So similarly, the highest service that we can render to Sri Krishna and Srimati Radharani is to bring those souls back to Krishna, right? That's the highest service. So I've said that once, and I'll say it in a different ways. Our acharyas have said, something like Golokera Premadhan Hari Nama Sankirtan. So whatever we are doing in this Krishna consciousness movement is the Hari Nama Sankirtan in different forms and different shapes and different ways. Where sometimes it's recorded, sometimes it's live, sometimes it's building a temple, and that is also Sankirtan, sometimes distributing books, that is Sankirtan. So all of this is actually the action, the activity of taking that lost soul and delivering them back to Srimati Radharani. Now, if you look at, there is one more aspect, that's the highest service, but there is a particular service that Srimati Radharani herself is rendering to us. Okay, so, and that is a very important thing for us to know that and to acknowledge that, right? So Srimati Radharani is actually rendering a particular service to us, and this is something that we can never repay her for, right? And this is something that is very, very cool, right? So in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the Adi Lila, in the chapter 4, the reasons for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the internal reasons for the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are being disclosed, right? And in the 460, there's a particular verse that says, Ladini Karaya Krishna Ananda Swadan Ladini Dwara Kare Poshan. So this is very important for us to know. We have already discussed this the primary purpose for the existence of the Hladini Shakti of Srimati Radharani is so that Krishna can Ananda Aswadan. So Krishna can taste happiness, because Krishna cannot taste happiness in the three modes of material nature. It's no fun for him at all in the three modes of material nature. So pure spiritual is what he relishes. And that's what Srimati Radharani gives. But on the side, Srimati Radharani is Kare Bhaktira Poshan. So what she's actually doing is just completely amazing. This is 460, Mataji, Adilila 460. So please show it to everybody. So everybody can remember this verse and everybody can remember the translation, because it's one short line. Okay, Srila Prabhupada has done such an amazing translation here. That Hladini energy, Srila Prabhupada writes, gives Krishna pleasure and nourishes his devotees. So all of us who are in this bhakti yoga, in whatever stage of whatever life, spiritual life it might be, or even those who have not fully dedicated themselves to the Krishna consciousness movement, or those who are just casually chanting Hare Krishna, whatever the situation might be, or if somebody has just taken a book for the very first time, they've chanted the Hare Krishna Mahamantra only once on the street, or they chanted half a mantra and they got suspicious and they left. Even those people, right? And we won't read this entire purport, though it's very sweet, right? Hladini kare bhaktira poshan. That nourishment to us is actually coming from Srimati Radharani. Okay, so now how does that nourishment come? So when we try to practice devotional service, Srimati Radharani gives us nourishment, right? So when we, when the Bhakti Lata beach grows in our heart, and we nourish that Bhakti Lata beach by Shravan Kirtan, by Shravanadi Jal, and when we are doing that, who is the one that is nourishing that? Right? That is Srimati Radharani. Okay, so there are many verses, right? We chanted that at the beginning of this class. Right? Sharmatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Siddhanta Stoya Bhadrani Vidhuroti Shuhurat Satam. Right? Nashtapraya Shavadreshu Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavinashtiki. Where is it coming from? Who is the primary source of that? So that aspect of Krishna who is actually giving that to us is Srimati Radharani. So while Srila Sukadeva Goswami and Srila Vyasadeva did not mention Srimati Radharani openly in all of these different cases, when we actually begin to relish and understand the Srimad Bhagavatam through the light of the understanding given to us by our acharyas, we see that Srimati Radharani is present practically everywhere in the Bhagavatam. There is not a single canto in which Srimati Radharani is not present, because she is the one. She's that aspect of Krishna. We talked about that, right? We talked about the Antaranga, Bahiranga, and Tatastha. We went into the Antaranga, and within that we have the Sandhini, Samved, and Hladini. Within Hladini, we saw that it comes from Prema. We saw that Prema rests on Bhava, and Radharani is that Mahabhava. And so she's like the very heart of the core energy that nourishes us spiritually. Okay, so there are many other verses. There's Pravishta, Karna. We may not even have all the time to get into all of that. But primarily, we should understand that we know that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna in the mood of Srimati Radharani. Okay, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission is what? So when we look at the same verse, excuse me. That same verse, by the way, was quoted by Maharaj Prataparudra when he was singing to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He sang that verse, and he was, gently serving Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the gardens outside of the Jagannath temple when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was resting after dancing a lot in the Rath Yatra. And at that time, and I want you to please share this, because we will just look at this purport together from Srila Prabhupada, which is from the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, chapter 14, and this is text number 16, Mataji. So, Madhya Leela 14:16. Okay, so here we won't look at the translation because There is a context that I'm not giving to you here. But Srila Prabhupada is confirming, right? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mercy is so powerful that it acts automatically. If a person renders loving service to Krishna, it never goes in vain. It is recorded in a spiritual account, and due course of time, it will fructify. Nehabhikramanashasti pratyavayavara vidyate swalpamapyasya dharmasya prayate mahato bhayat. In this endeavor, there is no loss or diminution. Even a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. So what is that is protecting us? Srimati Radharani is the person who is protecting us. And who is giving us that advancement when we perform a little bit of service? Srimati Radharani. Poshan. She's the one who karai poshan. Bhaktera poshan. Right? She's the person who is delivering all of this. So in this, it's a longer purport, which we don't have the time to get into. But when I look at here, down there, where when Rupa Goswami experienced the mercy and magnanimity of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said, Namo Mahavadanyaya, Krishna Prema Pradayate, Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane, Gauratvishe Namaha. So, what is that Namo Mahavadanyaya part of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? That is the mood of Srimati Radharani. Srimati Radharani's mood is what Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is. That is his mission. His Namo Mahavadanyaya, that is Srimati Radharani's mission. So therefore, the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission, or actually since the International Society for Krishna Consciousness is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission, practically speaking, in the modern world, ISKCON, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, is actually Radharani's internal, intimate service. I want that to sink in. ISKCON, the whole of ISKCON, is actually Radharani's inside department. This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. He wants to deliver Prithivite Ache, the Nagarate Gram, Sarvatra Prachar Hoibe, Mora Naam. By that Prachar of the Naam, he wants to release all the souls from the bondage of material suffering and wants to release them back out of this suffering. He wants to give them full prema. He doesn't even consider the qualification or disqualification of the person. He's just trying to give that. Okay? So sometimes devotees who may not have had the full context of the understanding that Srila Prabhupada has given us and that his disciples have expounded to us, especially Bhakti Swami Maharaj has done an amazing job in this particular regard. But many spiritual masters have done this also, and they have said this repeatedly, that Prabhupada has actually given us everything. So I want to connect these now together. We have analyzed a little bit Srimati Radharani's nature. We have analyzed what is most pleasing to her. We have looked at who Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is and how Srimati Radharani is nourishing all of us. And how the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, ISKCON, is actually the internal department of Srimati Radharani. So when we strive to fulfill the mission of ISKCON, even if we have to take all kinds of pains, all kinds of insults, all kinds of troubles, all kinds of travails, and not that I have taken anything of these things, but I know that devotees have done this and they are continuing to do that on a daily basis, right? So when all of us, when we strive to fulfill that mission of ISKCON, then that portion aspect of Srimati Radharani comes, and the internal truths for Srimati Radharani and the higher level of understanding of Srimati Radharani are revealed to us. It's not like we can go to somebody discussing the pastimes of Radha Krishna, in a loose way in Vrindavan or wherever it is that these people do it. No, we are not going to get Srimati Radharani's mercy in that way. We are going to get Srimati Radharani's mercy by rendering the highest service, which is by striving very hard to push forward this mission of ISKCON. By extending ourselves, by pushing ourselves, by taking inconveniences. That's what we are there. So we chant Hare Krishna and we tell everyone about it. And everything that we are organizing all around us, distributing books, distributing prasadam, building temples, creating groups such as the Bhakti Sanga group, are just so that we can get everybody else Srimati Radharani's mercy. And Bhakti Charu Maharaj said this, just once somebody joins ISKCON, you don't have to worry about yourself actually, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu takes a personal contract for your deliverance. Many spiritual masters have said that, Jayapataka Maharaj has said that, and so on. So we get Srimati Radharani's mercy, but importantly, we cannot jump over the disciplic succession. The disciplic succession, and I will end with one particular story that one of my Shiksha Gurus, Srila Prabhu, told me very recently, just before I came on Yatra. We visited him to get his blessings, and he gave us this particular pastime. Everybody knows the song, right? Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Daya Koro More Toma Bina Ke Doyalu Jagat Samsare. Everybody knows this song. It's a popular song within ISKCON. If you look at the last stanza that we sing in that song, it is Daya Koro Shri Acharya Prabhu Srinivasa Ramachandra Sangamage Narottam Das. Why is that? Narottam Das is not a god brother or even an equal of Ramachandra. Ramachandra Acharya is not. He is actually a disciple of someone who is equivalent to his god brother. So it is like the equivalent of, let's say someone is a disciple of Jayapataka Swami Maharaj is a disciple, and let's say somebody else is a disciple of, let's say Sankarshan Prabhu, and then it is equivalent of Jayapataka Swami Maharaj saying, I want the association of that disciple of Sankarshan Prabhu. That's just an example. That's just the relation. Why is it that Narottam Das Thakur is praying for the association of a disciple of Srinivasa Acharya? It is because of his deep devotion. And I'll just tell you what Rupananda Prabhu told me. Okay, one day Srinivasa Acharya, just as an example, one day Srinivasa Acharya was sitting in meditation. He was in meditation. Srinivasa Acharya had two wives. At the time, it was socially acceptable. He had two wives, and the wives came to Ramachandra Acharya, who was a disciple of Srinivasa Acharya, in a panic, and they were like, "You have to do something. Your Guru Maharaj has been in meditation for 3 days," they said, "and his breathing is gradually slowing down. You have to do something about this. Please come, please come." Srinivasa Acharya came. He saw that his Guru Maharaj was in deep samadhi, and he sat down next to his Guru Maharaj and also went into the same meditative state of samadhi. So within samadhi, he went into where his Guru Maharaj was in the Salila. So his Guru Maharaj was a particular Manjari, and he was in the spiritual world, and he was engaged in diving inside the water, inside a particular body of water, where Srimati Radharani had lost an earring inside the water. So Srinivasa Acharya was swimming around inside the lake of trying to find this particular earring. So Ramachandra Acharya went again into his internal mood, and he also took another Manjari room, and he went inside and he found it. He found the earring, found the particular piece of jewelry that Srimati Radharani had misplaced, right? And it had fallen inside the water. But what did he do? He did not go and run up to Lalita Devi or run up to Srimati Radharani and say, I found it. No. He gave this to Srinivasa Acharya, his Guru Maharaj, who then took it to Lalita Devi, who then gave it to Srimati Radharani. So you can see that Ramachandra Acharya did not jump over and say, I found it, I have done the service. Right? And anyway, they gave the jewelry back. So now their service was completed. So both Ramachandra, the disciple, and Srinivasa Acharya, the spiritual master, both came out of trance, and the wives were very relieved. Now, when Srimati Radharani saw that my jewelry had been retrieved, she gave a pan to betel leaf to Lalita Devi, who gave it to Srinivasa Acharya, who gave it to his disciple, Ramachandra. So this is this is amazing that the spiritual master also did not take credit for his disciples' achievements. Right? They were both so humble that he just gave the pan to Ramachandra. Now Ramachandra Acharya held the pan and he came out of trance. Both of them, Srivas Acharya and Ramachandra Acharya, both of them came out of trance. Ramachandra Acharya was still holding that pan given by Srimati Radharani. And then the wives of Srivas Acharya said, how do you develop this kind of bhakti? Where from? How can you do this? You are his disciple. We are his wives. We could not follow him to where he was, but you followed him. So how is it possible? So he said, Ramachandra Acharya broke that pan into two pieces, gave one piece to one wife and the other piece to the other wife. And they both ate the pan and they got pure love of God. So in general, this particular story is very instructive, and this is why Narottam Das Thakur is praying for their association. He's saying, first of all, the disciple did not jump over the spiritual master. The spiritual master did not take credit for his disciples' achievements. And the disciple did not have any greed to consume the fruits of their activities. They just gave it to others. So they delivered Srimati Radharani's mercy to others. So in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, I'll conclude with this. We need to take actions, steps to please our Guru Maharaj, to please our spiritual master. And when the spiritual master is pleased, then Srimati Radharani is pleased, Shri Krishna is pleased, and we get certain fruits that are delivered as a result of that. Those fruits could be some knowledge. Those fruits could be some kind of tejas, some kind of power, some kind of something, some kind of fame, some kind of whatever it might come. But we are not meant to use that fruit in our own service. We are meant to pass it on to others. We're not meant to keep anything of that stuff for ourselves. Right? So we'll go back now to the verse that we started with. Right? We started with Srimad Bhagavatam 10:21-9. We'll go back with that. We'll conclude with that, and then we will see if there are any questions, comments, or reflections. Okay. So please, Mother, if you can show 10:21, 10:21-9. 10:21-14. Sorry, 10:21-14. Thank you so much, Mother Zulekha. See, we'll go to the translation, please, Mother. First of all, we are meant to be listening in silence to the sweet vibration of Krishna's flute. Krishna's flute, vibration of Krishna's flute means spiritual sound vibrations. And we are meant to lose attraction for any other sound. It's very important. None of these will manifest in our lives if we maintain, cultivate, or hold on to an attachment for any other sound other than Krishna-katha. Okay? So I'll just very briefly take us through a quick summary of what we discussed and then open it up for anybody's questions, comments, or reflections. Okay? First of all, the highest service to Srimati Radharani. If you want to understand this, you have to understand what is service and what is disservice to her by understanding Srimati Radharani's nature. And Srimati Radharani's nature is mentioned by the scriptures. We can understand that. We don't have to go into too much esoteric detail in order to understand all of this. Srimati Radharani's nature is to please Krishna. And Krishna is only pleased by the purely spiritual. What is spiritual is whatever starts from Krishna-katha and whatever is manifested from Krishna-katha. Okay? Due to a lack of Krishna-katha, there is material consciousness. Whenever there is Krishna-katha, there is no material consciousness. We looked at the situation of the souls in the material world, in material realm, including ourselves. And the only way, and we experienced ourselves the pain that Krishna and Srimati Radharani feel to see the suffering of all of these conditioned souls. So our job in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness is to take these souls and bring them back into the spiritual world. And when we are in this business, we are, think about it. We are not left out of the whole thing. We don't have to worry about it. Srimati Radharani nourishes us every time we perform any act of bhakti. So when she nourishes us, we are meant to take that nourishment and not keep it for ourselves, but give it to others. That is ISKCON. ISKCON means be very generous in distributing the gifts of Krishna consciousness to everybody in a way that they can accept it. Prabhupada has given us absolutely everything. Prabhupada has not hidden the esoteric aspect of it, but the way to get the esoteric aspect of it is to serve the mission of the International Society of Krishna Consciousness very sincerely and very seriously. So essentially, it boils down to chanting Hare Krishna, telling everyone about it. But remember that in this success, we cannot jump over our disciplic succession. We cannot jump over our acharyas. We cannot suddenly become, right-hand person of Lalita Devi or whatever. If we can become an atom at the lotus feet of our spiritual master, that is success enough. Okay, so pleasing Guru and using the fruit that are coming from Guru's pleasure back in the service of the souls is the highest service that we can render to Srimati Radharani. And I will conclude there and see if we have any questions or reflections.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Dhamma Pranam, Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Jai Jai Prabhupada.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Wish you a very, very, very happy Radhashtami to all the devotees and yourself also. Wonderful class, Prabhu. Wonderful class and lots of takeaways. I have a couple of questions, Prabhu. The very first one is in the whole of Bhagavatam, there is no mention of the word Radha. Maybe indirectly there are so many indications.
There is a particular verse, Anayaraditu Araditu Raja. In fact, in Bhagavad Gita also there is a mention of Srimati Radharani. But can we find that verse? I don't remember the verse number. Essentially, Srila Vyasadeva and Sri Sukadeva Goswami were being extremely careful not to open up Srimati Radharani to mundane material eyes. She is very, very highly confidential in general. So there is a particular verse in which it is described that this gopi has served Krishna very exclusively, and therefore Krishna has chosen to spend some exclusive one-on-one time with her during the Rasa Leela. And that is the verse in which Radharani is mentioned, actually. And her name comes from the word Aradhana. There are many ways to look at it and many different ways to understand that. Aradhana means to worship Krishna with all your heart and soul. And so Radharani is the person who Aradhya Bhagavan, who is the closest to Aradhya Bhagavan, who worships Krishna wholeheartedly. Can you find that verse? Hare Prabhu is here. He is a gem of verses, always.
It's 10:30:28.
Yes, that's it. Okay, so that's the verse. So in that verse, Srila Vyasadeva has mentioned Srimati Radharani. And you know where Krishna has mentioned Srimati Radharani in the Bhagavad Gita? Right in the middle. Today I learned that this verse is verse number 350 in the Bhagavad Gita. Okay? And this is Mahatmanastumam Partha Daivim Prakritimashita Bhajanti Ananda Manaso Jnatva Bhutadimapyam. Who is this Daivim Prakriti? It is Srimati Radharani. Mahatmanastumam Partha. So Krishna has mentioned Srimati Radharani in the Bhagavad Gita also. But we need disciplic succession to understand that. I was thinking about that all the time, but this morning Gauranga Darshan Prabhu pointed out that it's exactly verse number 350. So if you had a most secret thing, where would you put it? You put it right in the middle of the book, right? So that it's not, not lost anywhere. So that's the verse. Yes, but there's a reason why, because even after all this secrecy, Srimati Radharani is still misunderstood. People still think that this is affair between boy and girl. People, still all of this stuff happens, but there is nothing even remotely material about this. Okay? I hope
Thank
that.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much. Basically, of course, Sukadeva Goswami used to go in the trance if she utters the word Radha, and probably, yes, very nice,
There are
Prabhu.
many reasons. Yes, many reasons, and he wanted to complete the Srimad Bhagavatam.
That's
So,
right.
and there was limited time. Yes,
That's right. Prabhu, can I ask you second question, Prabhu?
Please do it, unless, I mean, the organizers will decide who asks questions, I suppose. Go ahead, Prabhu.
Param
There is
Bhavani
a-
Mataji,
Oh,
Mataji, you're doing the Q&A, right?
oh, okay, Mataji. Yes, Mataji. Okay. Yes, Prabhuji, please go ahead.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity. So, Prabhu, the second question, quick question. I was told by some senior devotees, although controversial, I'm not quite agreeing to what is told, but they said that we are not qualified to utter Radharani's name. We are not there yet, and then we should not be taking her name. Say Radha
there's a particular statement by Srila Prabhupada who commented on people chanting Radhe Radhe, and Srila Prabhupada said, Radhe Radhe. You think the name of Sri Radha is so cheap that anyone can take it just as they like, whenever they like, and then they go and smoke a BD. Srila Prabhupada said that. But Srila Prabhupada also said that why we have to chant the name of, as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, and Narahari Prabhu had told me this some years ago, is that, even in every single pastime, even in Ram Leela, the Gaudiya Vaishnava understanding is there. I won't get into the details of all of that, but our goal is to help Radha and Krishna meet. So neither we chant Krishna's name alone, nor do we chant Srimati Radharani's name alone. So therefore, we chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, where every word, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, where Radharani is there already. So whenever people would say Radhe Radhe to Srila Prabhupada, he would respond with Hare Krishna. So I was in Mayapur recently, and one man said, "Oh, you're not in the Vrindavan mood?" I said, "That's okay. I'm in the Prabhupada mood, and that's all I need."
Very well.
Right?
Because in Barsana, Prabhu, everybody says just Radhe Radhe. Even rickshaw wala Radhe Radhe, Radhe Radhe.
They can say they are Vrajvasis. Okay, so I cannot compare myself to the Vrajvasis. They can say we don't necessarily have to go around correcting everybody like Shilpro. Like Rupa Prabhu told me once, who died and made you judge, right? So we don't have to go around necessarily correcting everybody. We just can, keep it to our circle, whoever is willing to accept what we are saying, and then share with them wherever there's a trusted, confidential relationship. We can say, by the way, we don't say Radhe Radhe on its own. Neither do we say Hari Bol on its own. Because, we want to keep Radha and Krishna together. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada said, Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. That's wonderful. Taken, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I'm so sorry. I was supposed to host you as in the Q&A session, and I just forgot that I'm serving this. And I was raising and that someone will let me ask you some answer. It was so.
Oh, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
So, Prabhuji, it was so blissful, session of yours. Learned a lot. Prabhuji, I personally has two questions. First is Bhakti Devi an expansion of Radharani, Prabhuji?
In general, Bhakti Devi, yes, so if you think about it, Radharani herself also has multifarious energies, right? So if you think about it, Srimati Radharani expands herself as all of the gopis, all the 3 billion gopis are expansions of Srimati Radharani. Then Radharani expands herself as all of the queens of Dwarka, the 16,108 queens of Dwarka, all expansions of Srimati Radharani, starting with Rukmini Devi, Satyabhama Devi, and so on, right? So actually, one is expansion of one gopi, one is expansion of one gopi, like that. There's so many expansions like that, right? And then Srimati Radharani expands herself as all of the Vaikuntha Lakshmis. All of the Vaikuntha Lakshmis, Mahalakshmi, and all the different Lakshmis are all expansions of Srimati Radharani. So similarly, Srimati Radharani has so many expansions that I am not actually fully aware of all of her expansions, to be honest with you. But the example given, and again, I heard this morning, such a beautiful little example. But it's like, let's say you have a dear friend. Let's say you have a school friend who is going to a place that they don't know, right? But you know somebody in that place. Let's say they are going from Mayapur to, I don't know, let's say Toronto. Now you know someone in Toronto, right? You know this Mahabhagavat Das in Toronto. You say, you contact this Mahabhagavat Das and you say, by the way, my friend is coming in 2 weeks from now. Can you please take care of her when she comes and connect her to the various people that she won't feel alone and lonely? So what you have done there is you have expanded your care for your friend through someone that you know in the other place. So Srimati Radharani, just like Krishna has partial expansions, every time that partial expansion has a consort, that consort is a partial expansion of Srimati Radharani. So in general, understanding is that yes, Bhakti Devi is an expansion of Srimati Radharani, but there may be some technical details which I'm missing. So if any devotee knows that better than me, feel free to share that. But yes, in general, that's the understanding that all of the, like even not just Bhakti Devi or not just Vaikuntha Lakshmis, but even the Devis in the material world are also expansions of, one of Radharani's energies, which is, Mahamaya. So Srimati Radharani is a source of all energy. She is like the source of everything. Personally, of course, she is the Ladini Shakti. But okay.
Another question, Prabhuji. You mentioned that we should not get attracted to other sound except Krishna-katha. However, sometime, like I listen
sometimes. For me, most of the times.
Like sometimes means like maybe most of the time, like I'm like over showing off myself. So I hear some like these days music or song and think that of Krishna, like, or Radharani.
Yeah, that's possible. That can be done by very advanced devotees. I once took a plane ride with Srila Amal Bhakta Swami Maharaj. I think he's in his 90s. He's in his 90s. He was a sannyasi before he came to ISKCON in some Mayavadi school. Then he became brahmachari and remained a humble brahmachari for many, many years. Again, he took sannyas, Siddhanti sannyas this time in 2015. He's in New Dwarka, Los Angeles temple. He's a very, very sweet soul. So he's very advanced devotee, right? So he was showing me, like he was listening to something on his phone and he was sharing one earphone with me. So that because I was just sitting there, I had completed my chanting, I was looking at him, and he wanted to share what he was doing with me. So he took one of his earphones and put it into my ear. And he says, "Listen to this." And it was Frank Sinatra, Hollywood's like a Broadway singer, right? Like definitely commercial, definitely materialistic. And he was singing something like "Incredible," something like that. That's what you are, and the song was originally little as a love song in the mundane material. But Amal Bhakta Swami Maharaj was only thinking of Krishna. He was thinking this song cannot apply to anybody else except Krishna.
Yes.
Right? But we have to be careful because the material energy is there inside those songs. So if we are not strong, if we are beginner, if we are a little bit weak in our bhakti, we can get sidetracked. You can think of some boy or some girl or something. Something can happen. So we have to be careful like that. So therefore, even our Kirtan leaders don't use Hindi film songs very easily because when I was attending the Japa workshop many workshops with Bhakti Bhagavad Swami, who is in Vrindavan, based in Vrindavan. He travels all over. He was saying that you be careful. Yes, maybe the advanced devotee can learn that, but what will the ordinary people take away? They will hear that tune and they will think of that film song. So be careful about how you use that. You can maybe use it amongst advanced devotees, right? Maybe you can use it in a closed circle like that, but you have to be careful about that. When you're playing with fire, when you're doing that. Okay? And in general, yes, we are attracted to so many material sounds because of our conditioning, and yes, we have so many conditionings. So we can purify those by chanting Hare Krishna, by serving the Vaishnavas, And even those that we are serving who are not yet Vaishnavas, we are serving in the mood that they will be Vaishnavas. So that is also service to Vaishnavas. They might be beginner, but still. Yes, we have. Thank you very much. So we have some in the chat.
Yes, Prabhuji. In chat, Srimati Mataji is asking, like, Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranams, excellent session, so many takeaways. I really love the story of Sri Ramachandra and Srinivasa Acharya. What should our service to Srimati Radharani? Really blissful session. Thank you so much.
Yeah, there's no question. The first question is from Mother Deepika Kenny. Sri Radharani is the fountainhead of all energies. Is okay saying it? Yes. Just as Krishna is the source of all universes and source of everything, similarly, Srimati Radharani is its primary. Yes, you can say that. Fountainhead of all energies. Be careful because there's also Lord Balaram. There's also Krishna himself. So, for example, the Balaram is the Samvit potency, and he expands himself to serve Radharani as Ananga Manjari. It gets a little bit complicated to make generic statements like that. Okay. Does that answer your question?
Akshar Prabhu has also raised his hand.
Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam.
Prabhuji, my question is based on the story, the pastime you said. Like, what I heard is Ramachandra Kaviraj was about to get married and he changed his mind. And like, can you please clarify a little bit on that story? Because you said he split the pan into two and gave it to the wives.
Yeah, that's what Rupa told me. Yes. I don't know if
But then what I heard is he never got married, like, because he changed his mind.
Well, that's not really related to what I said anyways. I don't know if he got married or not married because I haven't studied his life in great detail prior to this class. But regardless, the point there was that he did not take the benefit from his service for himself. He gave it to others. That is the main point.
Sure, Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, there are lots of devotees are actually appreciating you.
Appreciating Srimati Radharani. There is one question here.
Yeah. So yes, Hemangi Gopeshwari Mataji has a question. Like, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, wonderful class. Prabhuji, you mentioned that in Sattva Guna, we worship Lord Krishna as a duty. What is the mood of devotion to the Sattva, Hare Krishna?
Shuddha Sattva. Yes, Shuddha Sattva is pure devotional service, essentially. So they are not serving out of duty, they are serving out of love. And so when you look at the different stages of bhakti, Adho Shraddha, Adho Sadhu Sangha, Atha Bhajana Kriya, Atho Anartha Nivritti, Atho, like as it goes along and along. So as it enters past Nishtha and enters into Bhava and Prema, those two stages, that is the mood of the devotee in Shuddha Sattva. Pure devotee, basically. Right? Or spiritual masters, for example. Like, if you look at, like, I just went to Mayapur and I saw what Chaitanya Swami Maharaj was doing there. Right? He gave class one day, which I missed. because I came one day too late. But he came and he gave darshan to the devotees. Despite the fact that anybody who has an infection coming close to Jamadar Maharaj will fall sick. Right? The devotees around him are very careful to keep people away if they're coughing or something like that. And they keep a distance. There's a glass. There's all kinds of different things. Precautions are taken. But this devotee has no duty to perform in this context, right? Jamadar Maharaj has no service, there's no duty. He has nothing to do there. He's just coming out of his causeless mercy to give. He knows how much it means for the devotees who are coming to take darshan. You can see the love of the devotees for him, right? So many of our spiritual masters, my spiritual master is about to take a world tour. He's in debilitating pain. One day he can get up from bed, one day he's in bed. He's in heavy pain. But he's planning to go ahead with the tour anyways. Like regardless of whether he has to be in a wheelchair or he has to be taking all kinds of medication, he doesn't care. But he's saying, I have promised I have promised people that I'm coming to their country and I will go to that country. Unless I don't make it because I have died on the way. That's what he's saying. So what is his duty, right? He's already a pure devotee. He has no duty. He can email them and give them his blessings by email. He can do a Zoom call with them and give them their blessings by email. No, he's going there out of his causeless mercy. Same thing Gopal Krishna Maharaj did. Same thing Bhakti Charu Maharaj did. Same thing Kadamba Kanhar Maharaj did. Same thing all the devotees, senior devotees in ISKCON, really have no duty. They can always work through their assistants, right? Like Gauranga Darshan Prabhu does not have to go anywhere. Like Radheshyam Prabhu does not have to go anywhere. He doesn't really have to go anywhere. They have no duty, right? But they are going because of their causeless mercy. That is the mood of the devotee in Shuddha Sadhana. They are doing things just out of love. That's the mood, Mataji. Does that help?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you very much.
Dandavat Pranam. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
I don't see any other questions, Prabhuji.
There's Akshar who still has his hand up.
Hare Krishna, Akshar Prabhuji. Do you have any other question? Please go ahead then.
No, it's done. Good, good. Looks like it's done. Thank you very much.
Okay, Prabhuji. Can all glories to you, and so
all glories to Srila Prabhupada and all the gurus.
Blissful to hear from you, and we expect you in future again, your association. Thank you, Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for enlivening me and making Tirthayatra extra powerful. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Please accept my blessings. That's all there is to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much for the wonderful class, and happy Radharani to everyone. Hare Krishna.
Mancha
Kalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha.
Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda
Shri
ki
Vaishnavrinda ki
jai.
jai.
Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Third Srimad
Praise
Bhagavatam ki
Mahabhagavat
jai.
Prabhu ji ki jai. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Radharani ki jai.
Jai. Srimati Radharani ki
Hare
jai.
Krishna.
Thank you, dear devotees. We'll end the call here.